It's 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening here in Korea. I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Let's start with our first story. I'm Daniel Che for Arirang News. Seoul and Washington are reportedly in the final stages of setting up a working group on the possible deployment of Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, better known as THAAD. A South Korean military official said Sunday the establishment of the group will allow the two allies to start negotiations on the deployment of the U.S. missile defense system to Korea. The director-level talks will focus on a wide array of issues surrounding the THAAD deployment, including the location of the battery and the management of the system. As North Korea continues to ratchet up tensions on the peninsula, South Korea and the U.S. are beefing up an annual military exercise set to kick off next month. Our Kim Hyun-bin gives us a preview of what can be expected in this year's Key Resolve and Full Legal combined drills.
South Korean military officials say that Seoul and Washington are planning to beef up their inland infiltration operations through an annual amphibious landing exercise called Sangyong. The exercise set to place next month during an annual set of drills between the two allies appears aimed at sending a strong message to Pyongyang to think twice before it conducts another provocation. It comes at a time of heightened tensions on the peninsula after North Korea's fourth nuclear test in January and its launch of a long-range missile earlier this month. In previous years, the Sangyong exercise was mainly focused on amphibious landings and securing the coastline. This year, it will focus on ways to target North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile facilities, and will involve a combined 17,000 South Korean and American Marines, making it the largest since 2012. The exercise is expected to employ the USS New Orleans, an amphibious warfare ship that can transport 700 soldiers, and several V-22 Osprey aircraft, which are used for infiltration. The inland infiltration operation is part of the annual Key Resolve and Full Eagle drills between South Korea and the U.S. The drills will be the largest of their kind and are slated to start March 7th. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Help is on the way for companies affected by the sudden shutdown of the inter-Korean Kaesong industrial complex. The Unification Ministry announced it will make insurance payments of $267 million starting Thursday to the 112 companies registered with the Inter-Korean Economic Cooperation Fund. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho said the government will consider supporting the remaining 12 Kaesong companies that are uninsured. On Sunday, he said even though it is the company's responsibility to sign up for insurance coverage, given the unique circumstances of the current situation, the government will consider providing aid at an appropriate level. And it seems Japan's foreign minister is canceling a planned trip to China this spring amid rising tensions between the two countries. Citing Japanese government sources, the Japan Times reports that Fumio Kishida pulled the plug on the plan after China informed Japan that it had no plans to arrange for that visit. A government source told the Japan Times that a visit is unlikely now unless there is a change of heart on the part of China. Tokyo has recently angered Beijing with its tough response to China's massive land reclamation projects in the disputed South China Sea and for its criticism of Beijing on its lack of stern response to North Korea's latest long-range missile launch. The two Asian powers have clashed in the past over competing claims to an island chain in the East China Sea. There's a dark cloud hanging over Korea's exports, the country's main economic driver, which have fallen for the past 13 months in a row. A new report says the country's already sagging outbound shipments are likely to rise anytime soon. For details, let's turn to our Lee Ji-won.
Korea's outbound shipments are likely to continue their downward slide this year, marking a second straight year of decline for Asia's fourth largest economy. That's according to a report released Sunday by the Export-Import Bank of Korea, which says the country's exports will decrease by roughly 0.5% from last year due to sluggish global demand and an increase in competition from a weakening Japanese yen and weaker European currencies. Korea's exports amounted to $527 billion last year, a drop of 8% from the year before. But that amount is expected to decrease to about $506 billion in 2016. The first 10 days of this month have already fulfilled the gloomy prediction, as outbound shipments during the period slid by just over 27% from last year.
The downward trend will continue for a while as the global economy is in a slump. With global economic growth frozen near the 3% rate, trade between countries has also decreased significantly. Furthermore, the oversupply from China and low global oil prices are also likely to exacerbate the situation.
The report adds that under the circumstances, Korea should diversify its trade partners by advancing into emerging markets such as India and Iran that are showing signs of a recovery. 이지원, Arirang News.
Some good news for the Korean global conglomerate, giant conglomerate that is Samsung Electronics. It has made it to the top 10 in a U.S. corporate reputation survey for a third straight year. The online reputation quotient conducted by Harris Poll gave the Korean tech giant 80.44 points, putting it 7th place among the 100 companies surveyed. Amazon topped the list with nearly 84 points, inching up from 2nd place last year, followed by Apple and Google. The reputation quotient is measured by some 23,000 American consumers on 6 corporate dimensions: social responsibility, emotional appeal, products and services, vision and leadership, financial performance, and workplace environment. Samsung is the only non-American firm to make it into that top 10 list. Many Chinese tourists made the short trip across the West Sea to Korea last week with the start of a major festival there. And while these tourists have been a boon for Korean retailers, experts say Korea will need to do more to keep visitors coming back in the future. Kim Min-ji brings us this report.
Upwards of 150,000. That's the number of Chinese tourists who visited Korea this month during the week-long Spring Holiday Festival, an increase of nearly 20% from the year before. It's a time when the country's retail industry gets a big boost. During the week-long holiday period, local department stores saw their sales jump over 50%. So what were the most popular items?
I got a bag, cosmetics, and local food products like ginseng. I often use Korean products. I think Korean bags and cosmetics are high in quality compared to the price.
Due to the popularity of Hallyu, or the Korean wave, products and foods featured in local TV dramas or used by Korean celebrities have become must-have items.
I bought some Korean cosmetics. They're very popular in China. And all my Chinese friends like Korean beauty products. I learned about Korean food while watching Korean dramas and wanted to try it myself. That's why I'm here.
Korea plans to attract some 8 million Chinese tourists this year, but many say it won't be easy coming as before. While Hallyu has played a significant role, the effects may be short-lived as China is seeking to boost its own content business. On top of that, more and more Chinese tourists are flocking to Japan. While Korea experienced a slight slump last year, visitors to Japan have been fast growing.
The yen has lost about a third of its value. Besides that, Japan's biggest advantage is the fact that it has great tourism infrastructure in every district.
That's in contrast to Korea, with the majority of Chinese tourists limiting their visits to the capital city and southernmost island of Jeju due to less promotion of other cities.
Most of Korea's tourism industry is focused on shopping and plastic surgery, but that's not enough to bring people back. Korea also has a bad reputation of charging Chinese tourists more for street food and cab rides.
Experts say Korea will need to focus on developing more substantial cultural and tourist attractions, in addition to building tourism infrastructure around the country, in order to give visitors a wider variety of experiences and, more importantly, incentive to return. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Turning to the U.S. presidential race, presidential hopefuls Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are breathing sighs of relief after big wins in Nevada caucuses and South Carolina primary. For Clinton, who won with over 52% of the vote, winning this battle helped her regain her momentum after her defeat in New Hampshire at the hands of rival Bernie Sanders just a week ago. But while this victory may have helped slow the surge of the Vermont senator, his campaign continues to represent a challenge as he galvanizes young voters. On the Republican side, despite his recent spat with the Pope, Trump managed to grab more than 32% of the vote to solidify his lead. But the real estate mogul will have to stay on his game if he is to keep ahead of Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who finished second. Meanwhile, the departure of Jeb Bush, who has ended his campaign, changes the landscape of the race. The battle is won, but the war is far from over. The next round is the Nevada Republican caucuses on February 23rd. A documentary about Europe's refugee crisis has won the top prize for Best Film at the Berlin Film Festival. Directed by Gianfranco Rosi, the film Fire at Sea depicts life on the Mediterranean island of Lampedusa, where thousands of asylum seekers hoping for an entrance to the European Union have arrived in recent years. The harrowing film provides a closer look at the migrants' ordeal and contrasts that with the everyday lives of the people of Lampedusa. Meryl Streep, the jury president, praised the film for what she said was a daring hybrid of captured footage and deliberate storytelling that demonstrates what documentary filmmaking can do. In accepting the award, the Italian director said he hoped to bring awareness to the migrants' plight and said, quote, "It is not acceptable that people die crossing the sea trying to escape from tragedies." And now for a quick look at the weather before we go. Cloudy conditions will prevail nationwide on Monday, and rain is in the forecast for Jeollanam-do province and Jeju Island. We are inching closer to spring, but we're still feeling the last draft of winter. And the mercury will start down from below zero on Monday morning. Seoul and Daejeon will start the day at -3 degrees Celsius and Daegu at -1. Temperatures will rise later in the day in the capital to 4 to 6 in Daejeon and to 7 degrees in Daegu. Well, that's Korea for you. Let's check out the weather conditions outside of the nation, in your neck of the woods and around the world. That does it for us. More coming away at 10 p.m. Korea time. For now, thank you for watching.